now calling this 7:20 Board of Education meeting to order. We're running a little late because of the budget session. For those of you that did not tune into that, so let's start by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody public forum? All right, so no public forum. All right, so then we've next got the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that is approved. All right, study items. Dr. Shonda Amherst Phillips, please.
I just noticed I don't have a microphone.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'm here to present the tuition recommendation for support staff. So this recommendation is basically, it comes from conversations from our CBTF and our support staff forum. So MRH has a history of meeting with these collective groups, and annually we meet and we discuss issues that are related to like working conditions and opportunities that support staff have for additional professional development. This has been an ask from our support staff members for quite a while to be able to have opportunities to learn and grow, very much like our certified staff have. And so what this recommendation is for us to have an increase of about $10,000, not to exceed that amount, for our support staff members to be able to provide opportunities for them to increase their skills, their knowledge. This could be in the area of the positions that they currently hold. This could also be for opportunities for them to be able to advance to apply for additional positions that are in our district. Additionally, we believe that this will reduce turnover. Support staff is probably the area where we see the most turnover in those departments. And so we believe that investing in them and their ability to continue to grow will also reduce that cost as well, and attract and retain the staff members that we have. Additionally, some of our support staff members are also desirous of going into the educational field. So some of them are going to school for actually teaching and counseling and things of that nature. But some of them want to stay in that particular area and to grow, whether it's in the operations department under B&G, or in the secretarial pool to be able to enhance their skills. And so this provides an opportunity for us to be able to do that for them. What questions might you have?
I have a question. So is this, I know like in some districts, there's a requirement, like when you get certain, monies provided for schooling to like stay within the district. So let's say they go to school to do something outside of the current role they have. Is there any obligation for them to remain with the district, like after their education is, the contribution is over?
Currently not. That's not a stipulation that we have on our certified staff members. And so we did not ask for that classification and that stipulation on support staff either. So.
Is there currently a cap on the amount of tuition reimbursement that certified staff members have access to?
There is, and I should have that number for you. Do you know?
So, as a result of the collective bargaining agreement next year, teaching staff will be limited annually to the cost of 3 credit hours at the UMSL School of Ed grad program.
Correct. However, does that mean though that every certified employee could go back and get those and we would be on the hook for the credits?
Request.
Correct.
We are currently looking at a number that we would, since we've been zero budget for so long, we are looking for a number that we can create.
That's what I'm wondering about, is if there is parity there between like, there's a limited amount of budget for both support staff as well as certified staff.
Right, and this is not to exceed that. So depending upon the individuals that actually request for reimbursement, like it's going to tap out at $10,000, and so we would not
Understood.
exceed that amount.
Thank you.
What's the criteria for selection to receive the funds? Is it first come, first serve? Is it have to be professionally oriented? Can you take basket weaving, those sorts of things?
So it would mirror our certified staff process, and so there's a time frame where individuals who are seeking tuition reimbursement would apply. That approval process, that information would be requested along with the coursework that they desire to take. There's a process where we approve or deny that request. And then there's a process where they have to show us that they paid for those things, those courses, in order to seek the reimbursement. So it would mirror that certified process that we currently have in place. And so there would be some stipulations on what they, of course, could take. It has to be something that is aligned to the field that they currently are in if they want to advance. Or it could be something like the Grow Your Own grant that we have written for the past 2 years, Dr. Bouchard and myself, where those are just for education purposes for
Okay.
teaching.
And can you give me a sort of a ballpark figure about what percentage of certified staff take advantage of their tuition reimbursement? Just, is it half of the people?
No,
Any
not
idea?
half. That would be a guess. I could bring that back to you. I would not necessarily want to guess, but it's definitely not half, and I'm not quite sure that it's a fourth either, but I could give you the
Okay.
specific number.
So, all right, less than half. Good.
Definitely less than half.
Okay.
Definitely less than half.
And have we looked at a commitment requirement for staying with the district after we, let them do this?
We have not in the past, but I think, that is certainly something that we could look into. I would think that if that's something that we require for support staff,
no,
then
definitely.
we would have that
Yeah, for
conversation with certified staff as well, and then that could be a part of our negotiations for our collective bargaining agreement.
So do you,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
so do you know if any other school district have a commitment once their staff? Because to me, with the way education is going and trying to retain who you have, I think that's something District Maplewood really probably want to look into.
There's some districts that do. They don't necessarily call it tuition reimbursement. It's like
Okay.
a loan type of,
Oh, okay.
and there's some stipulations that go along with it. So I don't know how many districts do require it, but there are a couple I can think
Okay.
of. Do you know a couple? Dr.
So
Cummings?
there are districts that have a requirement, so typically if you, and it's not just for tuition reimbursement, it's if, for example, you pay for a staff member to complete the requirements to be able to teach for Project Lead the Way. And so some do 1 year, some do 2 years, and I did have some preliminary conversation with Cindy last year in regards to putting something like that in place, and she does have districts that she serves that actually do that now. So it's not anything that would be abnormal if we decide to do it.
I guess following up on, I think it was Trent's question, it may have been Katie, so I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but the idea that because it's only a $10,000 cap for this, so, I mean, I imagine tuition's not cheap. So if we were in a situation where we had people apply that exceeded that cap, would it just be sort of a lottery system? You would sort of, or would it be first come, first serve?
So there are currently only 2, so Chris and I actually talked about that because to Katie's question, I want to put a cap on it because it's not
Yeah.
zero-based budgeting. And this is actually something new because it has not been that way in the past. So currently we have 2 support staff members at the bachelor's rate who have applied for support staff, but right now we did budget an amount, which we can tell you what's in there for those staff members based on who currently is in school and enrolled and who may submit for that.
And our plan is also, as long as the state has the Grow Your Own grant, we will continue to apply for that as well. So we did have 6 staff members who were able to be the benefactor of that. And so if those individuals could be tiered towards the Grow Your Own grant, not necessarily tuition reimbursement, then that might provide more opportunities for individuals to have these opportunities.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have, I'm sorry, Dr. Jamison with 4.01 in sub 6 update.
So first, thank you to Mr. Estrada for giving me the numbers from the spring administration for our climate and culture survey. As a reminder, the state requires that we only give it once. We actually give it twice to have a comparison from fall to spring. We work collaboratively to identify the best place to actually include the full update for the board, and so the climate and culture update with all of the data and being able to compare will come back based on the perpetual calendar in the fall. I think it's August or September. But just wanted to give you an update of how many participants we had in the fall, and also compare that to our spring administration and thinking about other ways we can make adjustments. And so one of the things that Vince mentioned is for staff members where the survey is not necessarily applicable. So for example, our custodial team members, our secretarial staff, individuals who may work in central office, taking the survey that's really germane to teachers is not giving us the data that we want. So we're looking to make some adjustments for that next year. But as you can see, this is an anonymous survey and we are still struggling to have the level of participation. Just wanted to note that Dr. McGee worked to identify a time during the school day for the teachers to complete the surveys, and you can see what participation looks like from fall to spring. So just an update, it was administered. The full report will be presented in the fall along with some additional reports from data that's collected. Are there any questions?
No? All right, so, moving on, construction update by Dr. Michael Dietrich.
Unless you guys can see that.
I need to knock you off and get someone
So these are the big changes. So on the left, you'll see your picture from last month. On the right, you'll see the one from this month. So as you can see, our bleachers are fully installed now. So very short punch list in this area. Mainly some ceiling work where they missed with painting that I'm being uber picky. And so they're working on that now. If we move to the front steps, our rails were being installed this week. So that's why the slideshow wasn't up last week, because we knew there was a lot of things happening this week. And I did leave this picture over there because that's a local company who really helped us out about a month ago, 2 months ago, coming in and getting the temporary rails up so we could access that for our students. But this was actually just going up. I think that picture was on Monday. So all railings are going in now. And this is our basketball stop control. This is really cool. We can control everything in that gym except for the sound from that one little thing there. So all of that is functional. We were having some struggles with that, but they just rectified that this week. And we'll jump over to the Maria J. Langston Administrative Building. So on the left, that was the teacher workroom last month, or the break room. And that's it as of the other day. As you can see, construction's using it a little bit as a break room. And it looks completely different today. They actually detailed that out today. And then again, this is the workroom or copy room. Cabinets are in, that's all detailed out. This is the boardroom. So we already have TVs up. To be honest with you, if furniture would have come in on time, we would probably be able to have that meeting there tonight, even though we wouldn't have had temporary occupancy, but we could have asked for forgiveness instead of permission maybe. But carpet's in, lights are in, TVs are up. It is really looking great over there. And then these are just some views. That is the view from Kat Norton's desk on the far left. So she can see all the way down the hallway. That is the back hallway here. So this is Chris Holzer's office right here. Vince Estrada is right here. SSD is right here. Our break room is right here. This is Dr. Jameson's office here. So you can let her know if you like the accent color she picked out for her wall. If you do, I actually picked it out. If you don't, you can talk to her. Questions? But if you remember last month, I said in July we will have that meeting there, and I did notice a couple rolling of the eyes, but we will have it there, absolutely. So.
Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, sorry. Next, program evaluations for food services by Dallas Schwagel and Michael Dietrich.
All right. Hi, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
Some new faces, so I'll just introduce myself again. I'm Dallas. I'm your director for food service with Chartwell's, obviously. Scroll. It's me. I'm just going to talk about some of our accomplishments we did this year. We'll talk about our year-to-date meals accounts and trends that happen. We'll talk about breakfast costs for your request. And then we'll just talk about goals for next year, and we'll wrap up. So just about our program a little bit and what we strive for. We provide healthy, delicious, and nutritious food to our students. We offer high-quality meal options. We incorporate new and exciting foods for all of our ages. Making meal services timely, efficient, and catering to each building's needs, as we know each student has different needs. We're going to be supportive of our families and students throughout the school year, as well as summer months, which we're doing currently. Tasting food is appetizing, nutritious, and filling. We do a lot of discovery kitchens, bringing a lot of different foods and foods from our gardens to the students. And then simply put, serving up happy and healthy. So some stuff we did this year, our DESE review was finally completed, which I know me and Chris are excited about, so that's over. We do fresh and local produce served all year. I even somehow got $10,000 extra for us to use on our fresh produce and veggies this year, so we were able to serve a lot of those. Our Chartwell's allergy protocol, so all my leads are all allergy certified, so they are, if we've got gluten students, nuts, anything that's major, everybody is all ready to go for that. We got our Dairy Council smoothie bike grant that Chartwell's uses. We brought in the smoothie bike, and so for breakfast, our students, they got to actually bike and smooth their own smoothies, add in their own ingredients. And we can use it for all sorts of stuff, sauce and whatever it may be. I chose smoothies for this one, but, and then Lucky Tray Days, we do at all of our schools. We work with students. This was my first student chef, Gus. Some of you might recognize him. He was great. He got to learn a lot of equipment safety, food safety with us, and we really hope to continue that with our students. We're investing in new equipment across the district, which you guys already know about. Student interns I talked to. We work with Cisco, our food distributor, very closely so we can work on food pricing, substitutions, things that may be out. And then we're also, all of our leads this year got ServSafe certified as well, which was super awesome. We took a whole day class, and so they're all certified in ServSafe. Seat to Table. I did a lot of fun stuff with our Seat to Table group this year. And we actually did a really fun salsa one. Melissa grew these little peppers, and we did this fun salsa, and I lost all the pictures. But that was my most fun one, and I was sad, so I just wanted to bring that. We did the salsa, and it was a lot of fun. We did roasted radishes from the garden that the kids grew. We did mustard greens. We just cooked them down and served them. Grapefruit. At the beginning of the year in the fall, Melissa grew these sweet potatoes, and I put this on my table to demonstrate to the students just how big these sweet potatoes were, because I obviously cut them down and roasted them, but I mean, that's amazing. That was Melissa and her middle school students there. And then this was at our elementary. In the spring, they all grew like different kind of salad greens and mustard greens. And so instead of using ranch for all of them, I made a homemade like blueberry dressing that all the students could use, so it was super allergy free. So you didn't have to worry about any of our students not being able to use it. And it ended up being a huge hit, so we're gonna put it on our menu. And down to the fun stuff. Our year-to-date meal counts and trends. My first 2 bullet points are up here in conjunction for a reason. So our free and reduced percentage overall in our district is actually down 10%. We got a lot more students this year to fill out the applications, and it ended up going down. However, the most important part is our free and reduced students that are actually coming down and eating has increased 9%. So before, our free and reduced students weren't even coming down and taking advantage of that, and now they are. So that's, hopefully we'll just continue to grow there. Our lunch counts, those also have gone up 9,000 served this year of lunches. And then we'll talk about breakfast. We really kind of hit with breakfast. We were down 10,000 breakfasts this year. However, the reason I believe we're down is we changed students' timing to eat. So before last year, they used to have 30 minutes. Now the doors open at 8:20 and bell rings at 8:30. So they're not really having much time to come down and get to the cafeteria and even get a breakfast. We also no longer of last year doing breakfast in the classroom at the ECC, so we aren't doing that either. And meals aren't free. We used to be Provision 2 where everybody got free breakfast, and we no longer qualify for that, unfortunately. So we lost that as well all last year. So this all happened all at once. So we're really hoping this year to grasp our breakfast and figure out how we can fix that and increase those numbers. And then our year-end results. So it's hard because I want to show these numbers because our student debt, it is involved and it is there, so it needs to be talked about. This was last year. This year we're down 87, but we're down 60%. If we take out student debt, so say our students are actually paying for their meals, this is where we ended up. Overall, after this year, it was 17,000. So we're down 24%. I know it's not awesome, but we are working towards getting much better, and hopefully we just keep this trend going for the next years to come. And then this is our breakfast cost. This was per your request. We went back several years to show you what it would have costed these previous years if we were to serve them breakfast. Now, I want you to realize I used this year's current, our current labor costs, our current food costs. I don't know what that was years prior, but this is what it would be using today's numbers. So if you guys were wanting to do free breakfast next year, we used the numbers from when we were Provision 2 and breakfast was free for our students. So we kind of went off those numbers, assuming that hopefully those students would come back and eat if it's free. So we kind of estimated this is a gouge.
Thank you.
And this is what it would cost if we wanted to serve our district free breakfast. Okay, and then still to come, obviously we're going to follow all of our government regulations and guidelines, continuing education and training for my staff all year round. We're going to continue our Fair Check Allergy certification. Instead of just my leads, I would like everybody to be there. We are currently working on getting all of our menus up on the TVs in the middle school, high school. The lovely Miss Abby in the back has been helping me do that. She's been so kind. So we are working, and I think we're almost have that finished, so that should be up for the school year. We have talked about opening up a third line at the middle school, high school, like a deli station. Maybe that'll help, get participation more. Help students get through the line more if we have another line too. Students can get through that line much faster. Bringing in student choice. This is fun. I bring it in during lunch. We bring in 2 new entrees that we would like to serve. The students come up and taste it. They decide the winner gets added to our menu. So I would really like to do that this year. And then our food truck. The dock is finally open. We can get the food truck in a place where it's really accessible for our students to leave the cafeteria and get to the food truck and not have to walk all over campus. So expect our food truck to be here next year. And in fact, they're actually going to be here in August for our back to school fair. Just told Vince that. He's been asking me. I got confirmation today. So we will see it there firsthand, and then hopefully in the school year we'll be able to see it a lot more. And then we are going to do surveys with the students, continue to do that, increase our social media focus so that families can also see what I'm doing. I'm here, I'm doing stuff, and I want them to see it, and I want them to see what their students are doing while they're here. So we'll be increasing that. And then we have a Cheers program just to celebrate and recognize our staff for the great things they're doing. And then we're just going to keep staying up to date on food trends. And that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
I had one question.
Sure.
About the payment for, if we paid for free breakfast, so that's the 66,000 number?
Yes.
So is that like a set amount, or would it fluctuate depending on usage?
It's going to, so that's not a set amount. It's
Okay.
going to fluctuate because the more free and reduced students that actually come down and eat, we'll get more money.
Reimbursed, yeah.
So it really depends on how many free and reduced students we can get down to eat. It's going to bring that number down.
And I would think at the high school level, you might get more students, because I imagine there might be some concern about stigma, and so they may be less likely to come down and eat. But if everyone could come eat, then
Yeah, hopefully.
yeah.
And the other thing we talked about with that is setting up stations, so it's because the kids do have limited time.
Yeah.
So setting up stations at the entrances next year.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the kids come in, grab and go. That does become a little bit of a staffing issue, because you have middle schoolers coming in one area, high schoolers coming in another area, and then you have kids that also just want to go to the cafeteria. So being able to disperse your staff in three different areas instead of having them isolated in the cafeteria. Sounds like
We're going to continue with maybe like the 10 minutes. Getting them at the door might really help us.
Yeah.
So we are talking about doing that.
Thank you very much. Up next, we've got staffing updates by Dr. Honda Everett-Phillips.
Close it back out and open it back up. Hold on, Chris, let me finish. Thank you for your patience. So ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'm here to present our final staffing at a glance for the 24-25 school year. Again, this is certified staff members. I have presented this a couple of times in the last couple of board meetings, and this is how we actually end up faring for the entire school year. There, again, are this number of certified teachers in the district. Year to date, the vacancies that we have are a total of 18. Based on the questions and the feedback from the board, I tried to break it down in terms of the distribution so you can understand the number of people in each category. So we have 1 retirement in that 18. We have 6 internal vacancies, and that means that individuals either transition within the building from one position to another, or they could have transitioned from between buildings, from the high school to the middle school, for example, or they could have transferred from a teaching position to an admin position. So we have 6 internal transfers. We have 11 resignations. The asterisk is there. It's important to note that 1 individual we did rehire. The reason why that is listed is because the individual did not complete the entire 23-24 school year, so they actually exited our system, and we rehired them back at a different location for the 24-25 school year. Again, I've already kind of discussed the internal transfers. You understand that line. Unfilled positions, currently we have 2, our elementary supplemental math, and then our high school project lead the way position. I anticipate that we will actually be fully staffed following tonight's board meeting, if the board chooses to approve those positions, which I certainly hope that you will. And then this is the breakdown in terms of resignations. And so there are 18 positions. Again, as I stated, 11 of those are resignations. And the one that is rehired, at each building, you see the number of people who actually either resigned or retired. So the high school has 2, middle school has 2, and the elementary and the ECC have a total of 4. What questions might I be able to answer for you?
Doesn't look like there are any. Thank you for the presentation. All right, moving on to item 5.1, financial statements by Mr. Chris Kozer.
If you are wondering about my garish glasses this evening, this is my punishment for forgetting mine at the house this morning. So my team gave me these instead.
You look marvelous.
Got to do what you got to do. All right, revenue. We are at $25.3 million, which is 95% of the budget. We did receive another disbursement from the state today. We also have some grants that'll be coming in over the next 2 weeks. We will likely be recording revenue all the way through the end of the month. We are, by the way, that is tracking very well. I'm quite happy with our projections this year. As we always say, 76% of our expenses are related to staffing. Purchase services are at 2.7, 80% of the budget, slightly lower. So we are still recording payments. So I expect this number to increase slightly by the time you see the June financial statements, but not significantly. We'll also be bringing back the budget adjusted to actual at that time. Capital outlay, we're right about where we should be through May. Overall, we're at 22.7 expended, just under 82% of the budget, and that's comparable with last year at 81%. Right now, we are budgeting a 36.9% fund balance. That, again, will change as we adjust budget to actual and have a clearer picture of where we will end as the budget relates to our actual expenses. All in all, we're tracking very well through the end of the fiscal year. Any questions?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Board of Education Committee and Liaison Assignments.
So for this item, as we prepare for the new fiscal year, we recognize that we do have some new members to the board and wanted to allow board members to have conversation around committees that might be of interest as we enter the new year. This also includes liaison positions as well as liaisons to the individual schools. This is something that was new, started last year, so that we would not be overtaxing our board members attending all of the school events. So just kind of open it up for discussion. Are there committees, starting with the strategic plan, which is probably going to be the most robust and also require a large amount of the board's time? The first committee is for our students. That's the Academic Achievement Committee. That one is led by Dr. McGee and Emily Kreisman. Collectively, right now, the board reps are Katie and Josh.
I think in previous years, we've allowed folks to fill out a survey or, make requests as to which committees they'd like to serve on based on, their expertise and time ability. I think certainly if folks have questions about what any of these committees do. That's fine for this space. I don't think we'd be well-served by making assignments to committees during this meeting, but I'm certainly open to other perspectives.
I mean, personally, I think that, yeah, that's something that we could probably accomplish either through a survey or a work session. Isn't necessarily
Yeah,
something.
'cause then we do our
So
first and
if you're
second
interested in a
choice.
particular committee, who would you write to?
So I think based on Katie and Josh's comment, we'll create a survey, so Kat will send something out. So I've been doing special board updates. I can send it out in that, and it will be a link, and it will allow you an opportunity to select which committee, and then also for the liaise committees, so whether it's Joe's Place, and then also for the individual schools. So there are a couple listed there. We'll include those all, and then we'll bring that item back based on the feedback that we get from the board members.
And when we did the liaison for the buildings, we try not to pick a building where our kids was at. So that's something to think about when you do it. I think we did first and second choice also.
Committee reports, I don't think there should be any.
Oh, I do.
Oh,
There's one listed.
Yeah. Yeah, our special school district. So they voted and they approved the FY25 budget, which was nice. I'm happy that happened. It was a lot of questions asked. So I think Dr. Macklin is going to get the school district, special school district back on the right track along with his staff. They kind of talked about fourth quarter of the strategic planning CSIP, that they're on track for that, and how they're going to make sure they truly grow and follow that plan as they're looking into the FY25. One thing I enjoyed for the parent advocacy group, it was new members that actually stepped up from various school districts. So I am happy about that, and we have two parents representing MRH who are part of the PAC members. So congrats to those parents for stepping up, and I would love for our school district to be more involved with that, because they're making a lot of things happening and advocating for parents and students. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
thank you.
And Joe's Place didn't meet this month because the residents were out, so there's nothing there.
All right, sounds good. All right, so 6.83, the board agenda structure discussion. So this is something that we had kind of talked about, maybe doing executive session prior to the regular session. That way we can kind of get all of the more complicated matters done, get out potentially a little earlier if we have a hard stop. Not that we mess around a lot in executive session, but whatever. It might just be, it might just help doing that. So that's something that we were considering. Anybody got any opinions or care?
Is the logistics for how that would happen? I mean, obviously, currently we're able to have executive session without community members present because they leave, but if community members are arriving for public meetings during the time when we're in executive session, do we anticipate that there is a private space in our new building for that?
There is a private space for that, where we can actually have exec, and that was one of the things that we were excited about, to be able to do that and offer that to the board.
So
Works
sorry.
for me, so I don't have an opposition.
Yeah, and it's on the action item for tonight. It's just
Yeah,
staying
I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Could someone sort of summarize what they mean by board agenda structure?
The agenda has us doing all of the opening consent study items, and at the
Okay.
very end, we have executive session. So instead of at the very end, we would put it at the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
And just come earlier. But if we didn't finish something, we could always finish it at the end.
Correct.
Yeah,
So is the,
Sorry, I have a question.
sure. What's your question?
Is he there?
You still there?
We're waiting for you, Brian. He's frozen.
Oh, no.
So is the new call time for board members then 6:30, 6 o'clock? What is the thought?
I think that,
Your question, I can't hear, I couldn't hear him.
Katie had asked if the new call time would be 6:30 or 7. I think we can still keep it at 7. It would just mean that we would reserve like 30 minutes or whatever to do executive session. You know,
So the public start time would be moved later.
We would keep 7. Would
Oh,
be
is that
my
what it
rate.
is?
Yeah, I'm about to say, we would start at 6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, we would have to start at 6:30.
yeah, that's fine too.
That's, 6:30 seems like
No.
time, and I think if you have a particularly lengthy item you might anticipate, we could always.
Right, adjust, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an idea. I mean, again, it's whatever. It doesn't matter.
I have to arrange childcare, so that's why I'm asking.
Oh,
But, you know,
okay,
that
yeah.
is maybe a unique challenge for me, so.
No, I mean, if that's, I mean, again,
And if it's a problem,
yeah, if it's
Yeah,
an issue.
It
then
just,
it's-
just trying to clarify is all.
That's no problem. Yeah,
Truly understand.
and I don't even know how much time it would actually save, but whatever. Anyway, so that was the impetus behind that. Where are we?
Did Brian have his question? He
Yeah.
wanted.
Oh, did you
Brian?
ask your question, Brian? Is he muted?
It's, I think the problem is I can barely hear you, Josh. Others I can hear very well. Maybe it's just something wrong with the microphone, that's all.
Okay,
I'm gonna tilt you up and tilt you toward Josh there.
Okay. We were saying that it was just something up for discussion. I'm not sure how much time it would actually save. And again, it's not an action item tonight. It's just something to consider. So, I don't know, but you had a question?
It's much easier than live. It's a big guy.
That's what, yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
No questions? Okay, great.
Do we think this requires an action? I mean, I think if
No.
you just have, when
We
you
can do
two
it whenever.
develop the next
Yeah.
agenda, you have
I'm-
discussed this with us now, so.
Yeah, but
But I don't want to do it if.
Yeah, you know what?
If everyone's okay with it, then we can.
Right, I think that, you know, let's table it. We'll
Well, we
worry
could just
about it
send
later.
out an email before.
Yeah,
the
exactly,
next
and then
meeting.
we'll figure it out.
I'm fine with
Okay,
that
even
each
better.
time.
Great. All right, calendar of events. Let's see what's going on. Just some. Okay. So upcoming, there's a very exciting board work session on the 25th. There is going to be a boys basketball showcase on June 27th. Not sure what that is, but I'm sure it's going to be awesome. And let's see what else we got going on. Into July.
We have our retreat on the 1st, is that correct for the board?
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Great. Yeah.
4:30.
And then, yes, not a lot going on here, guys. August is exciting, but, you know, but we've got meetings between now and then, so there you go. All right, fun and exciting. All right, we're going on to action items now. Action item 7.01, the student meal pricing. Can I get a motion?
Motion, sorry, where are we here? Motion to approve the student meal pricing as presented.
Okay,
Second.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? All right, motion passes. 7.02, athletic proposal, girls golf. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the addition of girls golf to the high school athletics program as presented.
Okay, a second.
Second.
All right, are there any questions? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, I have a question.
Oh, okay,
No, I
sorry.
have a question.
Yes. Yes.
I think we should table this discussion because it's currently part of the administration's proposal for a potential cut. And so until we make a determination about that, I think it would be unwise to approve something and then a week or two from now cut something if we approve the administration's proposal. So I would move that we table this until the next meeting or an interim meeting until we make a determination about the administration's proposed cuts.
So Brian, I thank you for that. We listed a list of considerations for cuts. The list that Mr. Hoser presented aren't actually all of the items that were considered. It was just those that would have less impact on our people and also on programming for our students. And so when we bring the budget back, I think the question that I noted from you regarding the budget was more or less around travel and also wanting to look at the number of individuals and salaries in some of the departments. And so since we know that our people is where the bulk of the money is generated, we will go back and look at those two items, but we probably more than not will not be recommending any cuts. And I would say for, it's a small amount of money and it wouldn't impact the budget in a large manner. We're talking about $13,000 in comparison to something that's a little bit larger. So in the actual the update that was sent out, it included a number of items that would have actually taken us to $3 million. We pulled out the items that wouldn't impact staff and also programming. So that's kind of what's there, but based on your questions, we do plan to go back and look at the professional development, I think it was, and then also staffing.
Yeah, and I guess I would like to say I would not be in favor of, if we were making a cut, cutting this. I would rather find 5,000 or 13,000 somewhere else. So for me, I know there are at least 5 to 10 kids really interested in this, and so I would personally like to approve it tonight, but.
Yeah.
I would also say that we received correspondence in regards to opportunities that have been given to our students around volleyball, students who typically have not been engaged. So when we think about what our athletics program provides to students, and as we talk about reaching students, I just don't think that my recommendation would be this is not an item that would be worth cutting because it's such a small amount of money. There are other ways for me to actually find $13,000 if we're looking at cost savings. So again, my recommendation would be to approve this item tonight, and then when we bring the budget back based on the 2 items that you listed, we will ensure that we can find that money in another area, if that's okay.
And just for clarification, I think that there are probably going to be more than 2, I'm sorry, just for clarification, I believe there's probably going to be more than 2 items suggested for possible areas where there might also be some cuts, just from, cursory reviews of the documents. So I think that this might be something that we look at our work session. Probably I think that would be a good time to sort of take a deeper dive into like the budget when we have more time to really kind of discuss it.
But our role is not to get into the minutia of the budget. Our role is to approve and monitor the budget as it is being presented to approve.
Correct,
So
but I think that the issue again isn't necessarily about minutia. It's about like if we have questions about where money's coming from,
Sure.
where money's coming
Yes,
to,
absolutely.
that's kind of more and just asking questions. And I just feel like there wasn't enough time to do that tonight. With something that is complicated. So anyway,
Well, I want to make sure, this is really straying far from this particular action item, but setting the appropriate expectation for what next week's budget meeting is about, however many days prior to our required approval date for compliance with DESE. So I think perhaps we need you to clarify that, what the expectation for how much digging and,
I don't think that we're going to
adjusting?
go
Okay.
I think that it's important to understand where the money is going, but it's also important to understand where money, I think that, my issue with the budget right now is that we've got a lot of money coming in from grant sources, and that is reflected in the budget, but it's also kind of not. And just kind of so we have a clear understanding of, okay, what is money that is like coming in that's like fresh money, you know, and what is money that is not, as well as, you know, what are, you know, some of these programs costing, you know, why are they costing whatever they're costing? You know, I think that those are legitimate questions, but as far as, hey, you spent $50 on pencils, I don't think that that's something that we're going to get into.
Just for clarity purposes, since I'll be working with Chris to bring those items back, it sounds like the board is interested in incoming revenues, which Chris reviewed, but the other piece is what expenditures are, particularly to Brian's question around, I think, and Jenny also asked about travel. The other was around salaries, and then the portion of the money that's in the budget for grants.
Right.
Did I
Well,
capture
also
that?
the board too, like the amount of money that we have to spend on programs, like the MSBA thing,
That's required.
all right, so that's required, but also the, like whether or not a consultant is required or not. I mean, again, these are just things that, you know, we kind of want to know, like, and I think it would be helpful for us to know, like, hey, yes, I mean, I don't think that you're just putting stuff in there to be like, oh yeah, you know, like, hey, let's do this, but I think it's important for us to sort of have an understanding of why the money's there, why our budget is the way it is, because that way I think it's easier for us to then go to the community, which I think we're going to have to do, and say, hey guys, you know, the reality is that, you know, you can't run a district, you know, on 2024 prices for, you know, 2017 money. It's just not possible.
So I'll work with Chris prior to ensure that the breakdown for grants is included. I do know during board onboarding, the new board members did receive that, so maybe that would be beneficial for all board members, and then we will ensure that the other information is pulled out so that it's provided prior to the approval of the budget. As Katie mentioned, we are required by the state to approve the budget before July 1. Otherwise, there are consequences if we don't. So, Chris, you and I can work together to get those items pulled out for them.
And again, it's more of a matter of just making sure that the questions are answered before we approve it.
And it's a dynamic document anyway.
Well, no, I get
something
that,
that
yeah.
continues to be refined and adjusted.
So just for clarification, since I'm keeping records,
That's right.
Brian, what is your, your
Yeah,
vote?
right, yeah.
So Brian, what's your vote on this one?
This is golf.
Golf, the golf one.
Are we all voting on golf now?
Yes.
Well, I have one more.
There's been a
So
motion
it
and a
says
second.
budget impact is 4682. Then Dr. Jameson said 13,000.
No, that's a different one. I was talking about
If we cut
both.
the sports.
So it
Oh,
was
I
two
see.
included,
That's the cutting was
volleyball.
including two sports.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Because we had a motion and a second, but Brian, I just want to make sure where he's standing on the golf.
I guess the question is,
Yeah,
did he still want a motion?
We still need to vote.
Right,
problem
so
is-
we're not, okay, so we are going to vote on it tonight.
My problem,
I'm sorry, what? I can't hear.
no, that's fine.
The
Okay.
suggestion was to table it. Sounds like we're not tabling it.
No, we're going to vote, you know, and then however the vote votes, whatever. All right, so all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Okay. Any abstentions? Okay. All right. Motion passes. All right. Can I have somebody get us into executive session, please?
Oh, sorry.
I move to enter executive session in accordance with section 610.021, subsections 3, 9, and 13, and section 610.022 of the revised statutes of Missouri for the following specific reasons: personnel matters.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Wait.
Roll.
wait.
Mr. Colbert?
Aye.
Mr. Metz?
Mr. Metz?
Yes?
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Kaufman?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes. All right. This regular board session is adjourned.